Welcome back to Explaining Comics with your host, Henry. All right. So the dialogue will start at like the top page. He says, Harvey, and then Two-Face goes, "What are you so mad about bats? I've been a sport. You have to admit that I played along, and you took your joke about as far as it could go." And so now we're in the middle panels. We're running along the top line with Harvey's dialogue. He says, "Got the whole world to smile at me, got them all to keep their lunches down when they saw my face, saying I was cured, saying I was fixed." And the Batman says, "The scars go too deep." And then Harvey says, "Take a look, have your laugh. I'm fixed all right. At least both sides match." And then Bruce, in like the dialogue, he says, "I close my eyes and listen. Not fooled by sight, I see him." So then he closes his eyes, and we see in this third panel what Bruce perceives of Harvey. And all he sees is the defaced Two-Face, the monster. And he says, "Have your laugh, Batman. Take a look." And then Harvey, and this is great. Miller's really good at these like really subtle facial cues and kind of shift in just movement from panel to panel to like the person's reaction. So he's like, he bows his head, he goes, "Take a look." And we have a great close-up of Batman, and he says, "I see him. I see," and then he speaks, and right here in this page, he says, "I see a reflection, Harvey." And right here, parallel to what Batman sees of Harvey as like a full monster in his mind, we see the bat, this demon, this monster that he essentially made this and had this encounter with as a child. And so next one, he says, "I see a reflection." And that's really good. And then this page, this is really good too. What are they doing here? This is a really like close, intimate moment. Like Harvey is like, I essentially like crying into like in the arms of Batman, these like former friends and stuff. And this is the last page of the first issue. And we see like the bat demon thing either flying into the room or flying out of it. This middle page right here, or these panels in the middle, do a wonderful, wonderful job of paralleling these two characters and visually confirming this idea of this reflection, and essentially giving a thesis saying that, you know, Bruce and Harvey are in so many cases probably very much the same person. And Harvey is merely a far more explicit reflection of the duality of Bruce and Batman, at least in this world, at least at how Miller is writing Batman in this. I was just really blown away with this panel layout and this work here. It was really impressive. This first issue, actually all of them really do, but the first two really work as standalone pieces, as like a issue 1 and 2. And this one, it was really stellar. A really good time reading this. So yeah, if the Joker is like the agent of chaos and Batman is order and they're opposites, Harvey is the actual reflection, and he is not utilized enough at all. There's a great fan film called Batman Broken Promises, and I might put it in the chat. That's a Harvey Dent Two-Face story. It's fully animated, super talented guy. And that one also, in my mind, justifies Two-Face as like the best Batman villain. I just don't. There we go. I got somebody in it. Like, and he's just so underutilized. And if people write him, it sucks. And it's not really the emphasis is not obviously, oh, he sees twos and everything. Like, all his crimes can be two related. So you're saying that Batman has two faces in a sense, which he's always challenged by, and Harvey reflects that in a dark way? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you're doing Batman right, I think that there's a case for people that are really like, Bruce Wayne's the mask. Bruce Wayne's not a real character. But like, Bruce Wayne is still a person within Batman. And there should be, I think, in some way, at least for a time, a tension and a duality kind of in what Bruce Wayne is doing and who Bruce Wayne is, and then who Batman is, and what he's doing in his mission, right? And there's going to be that tension, this tension between this vengeance and this creature of the night and this force to be reckoned with and the spirit of vengeance in Batman. And at the same time, you have deep down this hurt, lost kid at the core still, who is simply like crying out for justice and has the opportunity and ability to create some sort of change with the wealth and finances in the family that he was born into. Yeah, Bruce isn't the same as Clark, not a mask. Yeah, and so when people say like, "Oh, Bruce Wayne's a mask," like, no, he's not. He's not. And I think it's dumb to say that because then it also because I also don't necessarily like in comics of the 90s did it. Batman the Animated Series does a pretty good job actually of making Bruce Wayne a responsible member of the company and billionaire. Interesting that Harvey's duality is cold and impartial, not vengeance. Yeah, yeah. It's this either this kind of yeah, good stuff. So like Batman's on the other hand is like either like vengeance for its own sake in that kind of sense of justice, um, versus I think more of like a hope charitable kind of thing. If we want to maybe use some of like what the Batman 2022 was trying to do, in some way. So are you going to live as this symbol of inspiration and encouragement and hope for the city, or are you going to serve as merely this kind of agent of violence and vengeance for the people? Versus Harvey being, all about impartiality, as cruel as it may be, versus kind of some sort of ordered, confined kind of sense of justice. Yeah, the lawyer bit, order is pure social construct. Yeah, versus the idea of fate and leaving things up to that in Harvey, um, or that the choice that he makes is the fate, and so you either have the pure violent kind of ill choices outside of the social construct, or you have the lawyery social construct, what is right, and then that doesn't matter though unless it's decided by fate itself, and there's no actual agency in that. Harvey's actually a very nihilistic, I guess, character and premise, and so maybe you could do the philosophy thing too. This everything is up to fate, everything is outside of my power, as this lack of control in Harvey versus what I think Batman at its core in a lot of ways is an attempt to take all that control and take all that order and be able to be the arbiter of fate, to be able to have control of such a destiny and stuff in its own way, right? He has to, part of his mission is to prevent the tragedy that happened to him from ever happening again. That's part of the mission. That's the core of the mission. Um, it's fulfilling a vow that he made as a child. There's a control thing there versus Harvey's lack of. So you could do that. You could do that. We're cooking, chat. We're cooking right now, Skank. I don't know. Hire me, DC. Y'all aren't doing anything really interesting anyway. So Harvey loves his lack of control and Batman hates it. Yeah, I would say so. I think that's a really good way to look at that because Harvey can't make a choice. He's part of the split. We're looking at very early comic stuff. Is like I can't make a choice. Let the coin decide. Everything is determined by the coin, and then whatever consequences of the coin happen. Batman, however, and you see this you see this post Dark Knight Returns. Really, you see the very cunning and contingency plan heavy. If you look at like Morrison's Tower of Babel of the 90s, like Justice League, Batman has a contingency for everything. Scott Snyder's Batman is all about having different systems and things in place in the city to make sure that his mission works, that Batman's always in control, that Batman is Gotham, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Batman hates a lack of control. And that's also why the Joker is such a threat and such a source of turmoil, and why Batman also has a struggle with I think killing him and taking him out, or at least confronting that, because Joker is blah 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 and chaos incarnate. If we really want to do the Heath Ledger thing, and Batman can't handle that. That goes against everything that he seeks to behold and maintain his own sense of control and the idea of like the social order of things. Joker breaks all those rules. He smashes all that stuff. And so while the Joker's really cool and stuff, like I think Harvey's a better exploration of that. You could better get Batman and Harvey Dent, Two-Face in a room. If you want, I guess if I wrote a comic, it would just be a bunch of philosophy. They just like talk at each other. It would just be the corner. They do thinky talky, and then maybe they punch each other right at the end or cry. I don't know. But I don't think the conversations about the control and the lack of control can be had with the Joker. I think that is a better thing for Harvey and Batman to have. Well, if Staten is a lawyer and the lawyer thing is a pure social construct, that makes Daredevil even far even more fascinating and interesting as a character that I already really love. Because Daredevil, of course, Matt Murdock, we're cooking. Chat, we're cooking. Somebody needs to accidentally find just this portion of the video. Maybe we'll clip the hell out of this thing and be like, guys, check this stuff out. Anyway, so I gotta write this Batman's Temptation in the Wilderness. But like, if a lawyer is Satan, sheesh, you should lean into being comics and manga culture guy. Give TLC people what they aren't getting on other channels. Remind me also to maybe put another thing in the chat. There's a guy that I used to follow who used to do exactly what I'm doing right now that I loved. I loved the heck out of. Daredevil is defense lawyer versus Harvey as prosecutor, which is the satanic role. Hey, you're cooking. You're cooking. Oh, man. Maybe I will just be the comics mange guy. That's all I want to talk about. So, but like also Daredevil being a lawyer, even as a defense lawyer, because comic book Daredevil has and will take on clearly shady, sketchy cases as a defense lawyer in which he knows that they're in the wrong. You see that even in the Netflix show and in when he defends the Punisher. And obviously that case goes to fail. But also in the first season, he goes and defends a client that Fisk's and Wesley goes out and like has him defend for like a big check. And then obviously Matt goes out as Daredevil to beat the snot out of him and do his own sense of justice. But those two levels, right? This Satan role as a lawyer, even if it's a defense lawyer, because we can maybe even say that that's not necessarily the best defense. And if we want to say the defense lawyer is like the good lawyer, the not Satan lawyer, that's the angelic, that's the holy side of him. And then Matt's like vigilante stuff even is far more demonic and satanic, perhaps. Or if you say that all lawyers and all this social construct is in some way evil or ill, then Matt really has no nothing to stand on that is right, nothing to stand on. So when he pleads his case as to why he should enact violence because the Son of God did so as well and lives in that tension, then he really may have no legs to stand on, even as a lawyer, and seemingly doing some sort of good there. There's something there. There's something there. Good stuff, Skank. Good stuff. Oh, man. This is some good stuff. Maybe I will just be that guy. Just give my takes and stuff. I had a whole so after the Batman 2022 came out with Robert Pattinson, I had a whole that's really good. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? There's a really good panel. Superman's villains couldn't even. Yeah, I like Superman a lot as a character, actually. I can't say I particularly care for any of his villains. And I think the best Superman villain story that I've read or viewed was Action Comics 7 something, 8 something. What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which is a direct response to the comic industries like what's the group called by DC? The Authority. It's a direct response to the Authority. And so you have the elite in this story, and they're very much the downstream of Image Comics. Might makes right. We can just kill people and do what we want. And Superman challenging that group and being Superman's whole like conflict really should be all about principles, ideals in those situations. I think, again, I guess if I were to write comics, it would just be a lot of philosophy and talking about ideas in some sort of 16-panel grid, which is maybe why I like Tom King so much. But yeah, Superman's villains couldn't even. I love Superman, but I there's no Superman villain that I'm like, yeah, this is a great villain. Anyway, Batman 2022, the Robert Pattinson film. I came out of that movie with so many ideas. I thought that this like loner emo zoomer Batman, millennial Batman, like Bruce Wayne, was such a cool take. And I had like a Harvey Dent story for that as well. And I had this idea that like the story that I would write, if I were to write the Batman 2, it would be all about this need for Bruce Wayne to become a responsible public persona. If the end of the Batman 2022 is about him learning how to be Hope, that's the end of the movie, right? You see him rescuing the people out of the thing. He does that great moment where like sets the flare on and leads people out of the stadium, bro. Tear shed moment. He learns how to be Hope at that point in the film. He also needs to learn how to do the same kind of work as Bruce Wayne, not as a mask, as a different identity in that tension. And so much of that movie in my mind would be about that, or comics that I would write would be different players, including Superman. I would have Clark Kent. I'd have Clark Kent have a conversation with Bruce Wayne as an interview off the record, talking about the work that Batman and Superman are doing. And then Superman or Clark Kent actively encourages this loner gamer emo Bruce Wayne to do some good with his company. And then they're friends or something. There's a conversation that I want to write at some point about those characters, with those characters. But then Harvey Dent was going to play a big role in that too. And if I were to do comics and stuff, I'd also just like have like reset continuity. I would just have Harvey Dent be Harvey Dent for like years. None of this like long Halloween, they become partners for like 2 weeks or for like a year, and then like stuff hits the fan. I'd be like, they're working together. You do some of the Two-Face tension conflict stuff before he even becomes Two-Face. And then you do it and it makes you really sad. Breaks your heart. I did love the Bruce and Clark discussion over horses in Dark Knight Returns. There's some great, yeah, that panel is really good. Let me see if I can find it. I'll pull it up for reference. One of the things that I found was, yeah, okay, that's an issue. We've always been criminals, Clark. That was really good. A lot of that dialogue, my takeaway from the Dark Knight Returns was essentially that, yeah, this stuff, and I think this is what happened, is like everybody lost the thing, the plot with this story. I think Miller is in some way communicating the danger of these characters, or the danger of these characters as anything more than the fantastical, by putting them in a more grounded setting, by really exploring these consequences. It is a scary thing to encounter a Batman. It is a scary thing for this character to be a person. Like, these are best left, dare I say, to the funny pages. These are best left to the Saturday morning cartoons. And if any serious consideration of these things being a part of culture or being a part of life, like, no, much of what we see as part of the arc for Robin, or maybe as that's running alongside of it, is just how much danger and trouble and violence that Batman willingly exposes these Robins to. And assuming, because like Dick Grayson has left and Jason Todd has died in this continuity, that much of the same treatment that Carrie Kelly gets as Robin here existed for them before. And perhaps such things like these stories should remain and should be meant to be purely fantastical. That's part of what I think is to be taken away from this story. Because there's a really good line. I still haven't pulled up the page, and I need to. With the horse conversation for people who are not Skank and Matt and I. I'm not gonna find it. I'm gonna just keep trying to talk. Shoot. Oh, this is it. This is technically the page. I can't do that page. It's a WEBP file. Oh, I'm not going to do it. It would just be easier for me to just show it on my book. Anyway, that's part of the conversation that comes up, or maybe later. And there's a Superman take in here that I really like as well. Remind me to bring up in a minute. They have their confrontation. Comics Professor Lurker friend here too. Oh, well, that's cool. Well, I hope that they have enough courage to at least drop something in the chat if they want to scrap it out in a good way. I would love to yap about this, because I'm still not hungry and I don't need to make dinner. And if I don't make dinner, I don't make dinner. Let's go to bed and go to church tomorrow. Where the heck is the Superman conversation? Is it after? Yes, here it is. It's before he goes to Corto Maltese. This is the page. In the animated adaptation of this switch is all right. The eagle swoops down on Clark's arm, and it's the goofiest thing because it's not a great translation of Miller's art, but it works. But it looks so goofy in the scene of this like shredded, buff, like superhero toy Clark Kent with the E. It was so funny. It's such a funny like scene in that. Um, but so Superman pulls up and does his like he does the 40s social justice thing to all the government. So like if you're looking at like old Fleischer Superman cartoons and stuff, Superman goes and actively like interferes in like the Japanese like armies and stuff. There's one where he's like taking out warships and stuff and doing some real crazy work. And Miller really I think does go back to that. It's very cynical. It's very much Reagan being like, "Oh, you know, Superman, we got to take care of those Russians. They're sore losers and bad players. We don't want their their communism hitting our country. We got to protect our assets," kind of deal, you know. But I think Miller at his core understands Superman in a lot of ways. Um, and then here's the thing. I'm losing him. Bear with me, guys. He stops the nuke from being launched at the U.S. and he gets taken out, turns in like the skeleton because all of his he stops the bomb, blows up. Where's the page? Where's the page? Here it is. This is awesome. This is great. But this is wonderful. But the dialogue, here's my thing, and we need this Superman take on the pages, and I don't know how we haven't had this. This is awesome. Get ready. Let's see. There were birds here who she blessed with chest feathers absorbent enough to carry water for miles to their children. So like everything's blown up. Like Superman dropped this nuke in the desert, and because he's Superman, he could hear and knows about all the life there. It says bullfrogs who slept for years in dried out riverbeds, then dug their way to the surface when the rains came. Now there is only blackened glass, endless flame. Our people, Bruce, you laugh at them. They can do this, and you laugh. They can split the very fabric of reality, blast 100,000 tons of sand into the sky, blotting out the source of all my power, the hope for screaming millions. Magnetic storm, you have every reason to be outraged, Mother Earth. You have given them everything. They are tiny and stupid and vicious, but please listen to them. Please, I am slow and dying. I need only reach the sun. Next page. This is awesome. This is really, really good. So he falls to Earth and he hits the ground. He hits this like field, and he says, "I've always loved you. Though I was born a galaxy away, I've always served you. The same power, the sun's power, fuels us both. You hold it here, you store it. I beg you, for a suffering world, release it. Mother." He goes, "Mother," and he takes all the life, all the solar energy out of the plants. He takes all of it and it drains them, and it brings vitality back to him. He says, "You are so generous. You give me your beautiful jungle. I swear your adopted son will honor you." Oh my gosh, how we have not had, yeah, Matsy, how we've not had hippie Mother Gaia like super tied to the earth Superman like this before, as some like patron of the earth, or like servant of like the Mother God. Like, how have we not had this? How have we not done something with this in like mainstream work? This is brilliant. This is such a cool idea. Like, of course Superman would know about all of the the intricacies of creation on Earth. He would know of the birds and the flowers and the frogs and these things, and be connected to them because of his sensitivity and his power. Like, oh man, where is hippie Superman? Oh wow, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. Miller. So like the other thing that people get out of this is like, ho, Zack Snyder specifically, would say like, well, Batman's really cool, and like he kicks Superman's ass, and like the Superman's like a chump. Zack Snyder's illiterate. But this Miller really understands Superman. It's Superman through Batman's eyes in a lot of ways. But those moments like that make me wish that Miller had written about Superman around this time. Not necessarily like Superman Year One with John Romita Jr. recently, but like Superman around this time during his like Elektra stuff that he was doing. I wish that happened. Patron of the Mother Earth, like Superman, is such a cool idea. Oh my god. I'm thinking of Matthew Pajot's Sun and Moon stuff with Batman and Superman. I don't know anything about that, Skank. You'll have to like clue me into that. Give me some fuel for this. You'd think Hollywood would key into that angle and get excited about Superman. He isn't just a Boy Scout. The problem is people are illiterate. And King David, the Moon King versus Samson, the Sun King. Man, cooking. To this point, the problem is with Hollywood only sees not what they want to see, but they only see what is prolific, and they only see what they think in kind of the icons and the images are most popular that the public as a whole do. And some of the subtler things and the nuance and the smaller details of something like A Dark Knight Returns are completely lost to them. It's completely lost to Zack Snyder because Zack Snyder thinks that Batman like shoots up and kills a bunch of people throughout this book, and he's wrong. He's dumb and he can't read the panels. Come at me, Zack Snyder, I guess. And so is Hollywood writers as a whole. I don't think they understand or pick up on these things, these nuances. And I don't think they read these comics. I think they see what they want to see and what they think is most marketable for kind of a blockbuster. So like hippie Superman has probably never crossed their mind. Morrison doesn't even do hippie Superman. Like All-Star Superman is great, but All-Star Superman really leans into that more like Greek mythology kind of deal. Like I am a like unto the Greek gods, and I'm super powerful. Here are my last acts of the earth. And I love that book, but he's not a hippie by any means. Like I need hippie Superman. I need hippie Superman. That'd be freaking awesome. Fuel for a future stream. Yeah, let me write that down. I just need to go and do like a takes. I need to write all my takes out and just like spew them out in a stream. So that'll happen at some point. Planet Narnia. What's Planet Narnia? Are you just talking about like the Narnia series or like Lewis's stuff, like Silent Planet and all that? Anyway, oops, dead air again. Yeah, so there's my hippie Superman. Freaking we need hippie Superman. I need him, crying out to Mother Earth. And you know what? I want Superman in like Henry's gonna go on that walk and get the deer to let him feed it by thinking hippie Superman. I'm gonna manifest, I'm gonna channel hippie Superman so that the animals can come to me. Yeah, I will do that. Oh man. Okay. Here we go. If we're talking about hippie Superman, so there was a Batman cartoon of the early 2000s called The Batman from 2004. And the Poison Ivy in that series is really cool. She's a contemporary in the same age as Barbara Gordon Batgirl. And she's this like super liberationist, like blue pilled, like blue church activist girl, like a freshman, sophomore in college. And so her Poison Ivy schemes and stuff is like studying as like a botanist stuff is also tied to like early like PETA adjacent like activism and stuff. I'm gonna write this down too. Superman versus Poison Ivy, like hippie Superman versus super extremist like environmentalist Poison Ivy who believes that the only way to save the earth is the eradication of humanity. Like can those two people meet? That would be so cool. Superman stands on the precipice of the meta-divine realm. He's an agent whose power makes him nearly Arenic. Yeah, good stuff. Oh man, hippie Superman would be so good. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the conversation and like the things between that and like a really extreme Poison Ivy? Like, that'd be so cool. That would be so cool. Throw Batman in there. He can be there as well. He'd be like, I need you to back off. Blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I know that Superman does go against Poison Ivy and Batman Hush, but like Jeff Loeb doesn't do jack squat with that. It's just all that is just that Superman gets mind controlled by Poison Ivy so that Jeff Loeb can get Jim Lee to draw Superman and Batman punching each other in a sewer. That's all that's for. There's no cool thing there. There's no potential there per se. Firing on all cylinders. I'm freaking cooking right now. I need hippie Superman versus Poison Ivy for sure. Oh, I'm gonna throw this one out in the chat again at some point during a live stream. Man, all right. How else can we take this and stuff? Well, okay. So then, like every like Lex Luthor kind of corporate conflict is almost easier to do with a hippie Superman. Like a hippie Superman is like not only is Lex Luthor just doing shady deals and stuff, but like a hippie Superman is just going to hate everything Lex Luthor does regardless as some sort of corporate like what's the word? Corporate warmonger. Like, oh, you are just doing this thing? Like I hate you by default. I don't like you just because like you haven't done anything yet, but I hate that you are like tearing down this like this space so that you could put up these like this tech field or whatever. So like Superman's own, like not only would Lex Luthor be obviously like evil Lex Luthor, like war, military, industrial complex guy, but any of his other projects, Superman would just be like, well, this sucks. I hate you. Like I've felt like the earth lose its life because of you. I've felt like part of that which you've destroyed. Like you've taken this away from me. You've taken this from these people. Like frick you. Like he would just be so angry at him all the time, and that would be interesting. It's more hippie Superman versus Wayne's tech pragmatic compromises the environment. Man, yeah, that's some. Oh man, oh that's awesome. That's really good too because now we're working with doing the Batman versus Superman conflict, and so not only do we have obviously the Batman idea of justice and how to handle crime versus Superman's handling of crime, but now you've also got like personal ethics and things that are less directly concerned with their mission and their like crime fighting. Bro, that's literary type stuff right there. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Oh, this is really good. Okay, so early 40s Superman, if you wanted to, is like very much like the social justice kind of guy, if we want to say that. He's doing like one of his earliest like that's what he's doing. These guys are doing some shady stuff. I'm just gonna sort it by myself. These like undercover crime guys, I'm gonna take care of it myself. So I'm gonna pause my thought. So one of the things Skanks is thinking of is that Superman is a hippie in the sense of caring for the earth in a solar aspect rather than a lunar aspect like Batman. Think of the moon as two faces. Okay, you guys would have to like really clarify and make some of this symbology more clear to me because I'm far behind on like the Matthew Peugeot, even Jonathan Peugeot stuff than you guys are. But I really like whatever this is. This sounds really awesome. Y'all, please clarify. Please clarify this, what it means to be like care for the earth in a solar versus lunar aspects. I don't understand, but I really want to. So like if you were writing Superman, I would have Superman doing okay, if you want like Bruce Wayne, if we want to do the whole we're all criminals, Clark, make Clark also a criminal insofar as like Superman would not be allowed to be an agent of the US because Superman has like a track record in history of his own kind of like avalanche, Final Fantasy VII, like I don't want to call it eco-terrorism, but have Superman doing his own things to disrupt kind of efforts to distort or harm or just change the environment. Like Superman went and, sabotaged this recent attempt by LexCorp to develop nuclear power plants in this little like region and stuff. Like, let Superman have his own maybe agent. I don't know. There's something there. You'd get canceled. It'd be like woke Superman, but that would be awesome. I think there'd be something really there. Moon reflects the light of goodness and justice, but is not justice or goodness itself. Okay. All right. Moon is also feminine. Ooh, okay. Oh, I get it. Okay, that makes sense. All right. All right. I'm picking up on what we're putting down here. Hippie Superman is the coolest. All right. So yeah. I'm in for this. I think there's potential. And then you can have Clark Kent be like unabashedly also like a hippie too. It's like I was born in, the Midwest and well, I just don't think it's right that we're clearing out all this land. This is farmland. This is the earth. And then, Lois Lane's like, what the heck, Clark? Like, get over it. Sign of the times. Moon engages with lunacy. Think of Batman's rogues galleries. All right, cool. Moon is the mirror that forces the king to see himself and be better. Ooh, okay. So Superman's the Sun King. It is accusatory, but could be the accusation that leads to repentance. Ooh. That's good. I like that. All right. Here, I don't know if I'm cooking in the right direction. So here's like a story idea. Hippie Superman is actively distorting and doing his own, he's got his own agenda. He's not only like helping people or whatever, but he's got his own fuel against LexCorp in Wayne Tech and does things to sabotage these kind of projects. It's like, it doesn't care if it costs money. It doesn't care if like, we're delaying these projects. They're hurting the earth. I don't want this. And so Bruce Wayne's got a personal beef with what Superman's doing. And then like Batman, I guess, could have like a confrontation with Superman about like, you can't keep doing this. You are breaking the law. And if you're all about championing like, what is right and stuff, then technically you can't be doing this either. Like, so knock it the hell off, or I'm going to like take you out type stuff. But it's like not necessarily for his like, it's not that he's an alien, he can't be trusted. It's that he's doing things that like are wrong too, and it's pissing him off. No, Batman is a dark reflection of Gotham. He is Gotham. He appears gritty because Gotham is gritty. Yeah. Yeah. He reflects, right, that the reality of the situation, right? And he reflects the humanity that is in Gotham, and they need to see, because that'd be the thing, right? Metropolis is Metropolis because Superman is there, and Gotham is Gotham because Batman is there. And Superman can't fix the problems of Gotham because of the strong Batman Two-Face connection. Batman has to be a prosecutor, while Superman is a defense attorney. Yeah. Sheesh, good stuff. So what we're saying, like, all of this is just basically like, it would just be this really big Batman Superman story with Two-Face and Poison Ivy as villains, and like Lex Luthor. That's what the story is. That's what's going to happen. That's what this sounds like. Superman is actually too earthly. Yeah, he is alien in his immanence, not his transcendence. Yeah, good stuff. Batman's more, if we want to talk about like Batman as like a, in this way, Batman's far more alien in his transcendence, because contemporary Batman is all about becoming bigger than the city, or being the city, or being the thing that keeps the city in place. Batman's everywhere. He's in the shadows. Batman has these like networks and like channels and all these different bat caves to ensure that his mission never goes off and like never dies out. Like, he's more transcendent than Superman is in that way. Might be a Chipotle night. Not making dinner at this hour. Good stuff. Cooking. Yeah. All right. There's some good stuff here. Try to think if I have any other like really strong takes that are worth bringing up now. Batman, like Daredevil, strives to be that superhuman avenging angel. Yeah. Yeah. And they both have the same kind of moral code. And I think that that's interesting too, because I think despite Batman's, I guess we can call him like agnosticism to everything, they both have the same core ethic and like reason behind like the no kill rule and stuff. Daredevil has it for obvious, more Catholic, dignity of humanity reasons, right? As in the faith. And then Batman's is also just like this idea for redemption and value of life and humanity, right? But it probably comes from that more just kind of general sense. And so obviously those parallels are very clear. Is Daredevil a cross between Batman and Superman? Pretty good. No, I don't think Daredevil is a cross between Superman and Batman. Daredevil is not at all aspirational. I think Daredevil is only the moon. I think Daredevil is only the moon. And like most reads on Superman, unless we're doing hippie Superman, which I might do. Superman has no like conflict with himself insofar as like, what does he do? Like, what he's doing is right or wrong. Daredevil is like a piece of garbage, honestly. He's a very like toxic person. He's very isolated. He's got mommy issues up the wazoo. He justifies his fighting crime as some sort of semblance of justice because he's angry and wants to hit something. And his whole defense attorney role and play is a cover and a salve and a like a, what's the word, like a attempt at coming to grips with reality and what he really wants to do. Like, Daredevil is closer to Two-Face in some way. Daredevil's a piece of garbage, young Henry 2020. It's true. It's true. He's like one of my favorite characters. It is. He's the worst friend. He's like the worst like partner in any of his like romances that he's in. He's the man without fear, and the man without fear will put himself into situations that will create so much pain for himself and then in turn for other people. Right? The man without fear is always going to look for reasons and for ways to be afraid or to test like reality and its consequences. Wow, I didn't realize. Yeah, no, like there's a great moment in Miller's Daredevil, and I haven't reread it in a long time, but this former girlfriend of his that he's on again, off again, inherits her father's company, and Matt Murdock and all his controlling and I guess like 80s like way of being a guy essentially strips all of agency from her running the company, and takes away any control and like independence that she has. That's just she's completely dependent on him, and then he ends up sleeping with Black Widow, and then she runs in on that like that happening. Like he's the worst, absolutely the worst. His best relationship, his best relationship is with Elektra, this assassin, and if we're looking at Miller's reimagining and rewriting of it, and then stuff that gets taken up with like the season to like like Netflix's adaptation, like she just feeds into all of his worst tendencies, and they're almost star-crossed lovers in a way. So is Matt Murdock kind of the worst aspects of Batman and Superman? I would say so. I would say so. Yeah. Yeah. Daredevil, depending on who you're like looking at and who's writing or whatever as well, doesn't necessarily have a proper tether to humanity either that Superman does through being Clark Kent, and also just the nature of the power. Superman or Daredevil is usually a very wealthy defense attorney, like very, very wealthy, with his law firm. Like Netflix Daredevil is him being super broke and doing charity work. But mainstream Daredevil, he's like raking in millions upon millions for these certain like lawsuit cases and stuff that he's defending and things. So he doesn't have a proper, he's almost like Ivory Tower in this way and very self-righteous. He would be like a yuppie. And actually he gets brought up in, there's a cameo from Matt Murdock in Dark Knight Returns because Miller had just written him at the time. Like I don't think, yeah, Matt Murdock is really self-righteous, and Matt Murdock would virtue signal on X. He would virtue signal on X about how, you know, certain lawyers or other people need to like reform or get cleaned up, and then do the exact same thing that they do, and then also then go out and beat up people because he's got violent tendencies, and thinks that he's also like serving out justice that way as well. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I love Matt Murdock, Daredevil, but he needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of grace.